2:11 a.m. The storm rolling above the desert doesn't sound natural anymore. Thunder shaking distant mountains, while cold rain crashes against empty highways, lit only by fading industrial lights. And somewhere beyond the darkness, an operation is already moving. Fast, silent, calculated. Because in the cartel world, power never waits for daylight. It moves at night, when roads become empty and mistakes become permanent. And when missions like this begin, there is no room for weak machines, no room for breakdowns, hesitation, or fear. Which is exactly why one truck tears through the storm differently from every other vehicle around it. Headlights cutting through rain like searchlights, while the engine growls with the kind of confidence that feels almost violent. And at the center of that presence stands the Chevrolet Silverado 1500 2018. A machine built not for comfort, not for luxury, but for raw American dominance in environments where survival depends entirely on your ability to keep moving. Now ask yourself this: when roads disappear, communication fails, and every mile ahead becomes more dangerous than the last, what kind of vehicle do you trust to carry you through it? Because vehicles like this are not chosen because they look powerful. They are chosen because they continue operating long after weaker machines begin collapsing under pressure. From the outside, the Silverado already feels intimidating. Wide, aggressive stance, muscular body lines, elevated suspension, oversized grille, every detail designed with one message in mind. This truck was never built to blend into traffic. It was built to dominate terrain, command roads, and survive punishment. But what makes the Chevrolet Silverado 1500 2018 truly respected inside dangerous environments is not appearance alone. Because beneath that aggressive body sits a machine engineered around endurance, torque, reliability, and control. The kind of engineering that matters only when conditions become genuinely difficult. Now, picture the first scene. A convoy leaving the outskirts of the city after midnight, rainwater reflecting across cracked asphalt, while radio communication stays low and controlled. Industrial towers fading behind them as the route pushes deeper into isolated territory. And for the first 30 minutes, everything feels calm, almost too calm, until suddenly visibility collapses completely as the storm intensifies into something violent. Rain slams against the windshield hard enough to erase the road ahead, while crosswinds shake lighter vehicles across the highway, forcing the convoy to slow down immediately. And this is exactly where weaker systems begin losing stability, traction disappearing, steering becoming unpredictable, drivers panicking silently inside their cabins. But the Silverado reacts differently. Suspension planted firmly against the road, while the truck powers through the storm with mechanical confidence that feels almost unnatural. And that moment reveals the real identity of the Silverado. Because this truck was never designed for ideal conditions, it was engineered specifically for situations where nature itself becomes the enemy. Now, shift the atmosphere completely. The convoy exits the highway and enters a forgotten desert route, surrounded by darkness so deep it almost feels endless. No traffic, no signals, no lights beyond the convoy itself. Just wet dirt roads cutting through empty terrain, where one mistake can leave you stranded for hours without help. And this is where trucks like the Chevrolet Silverado 1500 2018 separate themselves from ordinary luxury vehicles. Because while comfort-focused SUVs prioritize silence and smoothness, the Silverado prioritizes durability, ground clearance, recovery capability, and the structural strength needed to survive environments that punish weakness instantly. Now imagine the terrain beginning to soften beneath the tires, as deep mud forms across the desert floor, thick enough to trap heavy vehicles within seconds, momentum fading while the convoy struggles to maintain movement. And for one dangerous moment, it feels like the environment itself is taking control. But then, the Silverado responds aggressively, torque shifting through the drivetrain while the tires dig violently into the mud, throwing dirt and water across the darkness as the truck pulls itself forward with brutal mechanical force, proving something important instantly. Real power is not about speed, it is about recovery. And just when the convoy begins stabilizing again, something changes ahead. Distant headlights appear motionless on elevated terrain overlooking the route. Engines off, no movement visible, forcing immediate tension across every vehicle in the operation. Because out here, uncertainty is often more dangerous than confirmed threats. And this is where the psychology of the cartel world becomes visible. Because when people stop trusting the environment around them, they start trusting machinery instead. And the Silverado earns that trust through consistency under pressure. Now picture the convoy rerouting instantly, leaving the main road entirely and cutting across rocky terrain, filled with loose stone, sharp elevation changes, and surfaces unstable enough to destroy ordinary suspensions within minutes. But the Silverado absorbs the punishment without hesitation, chassis remaining composed while the suspension stabilizes every violent impact beneath the truck. And moments like this explain why machines like the Chevrolet Silverado became respected in operational environments where durability matters more than appearance. Because dominance is not measured by how fast a vehicle looks, it is measured by how much punishment it can survive before failing. Now imagine the convoy reaching a narrow canyon route carved between massive rock walls, while rainwater floods sections of the path ahead, transforming stable ground into dangerous mud, capable of swallowing vehicles instantly. And for the first time during the entire night, hesitation appears inside the convoy, because one wrong move here could trap every vehicle inside the canyon with nowhere to escape. But the Silverado enters first without slowing down, engine roaring against the rock walls while mud explodes around the tires, the truck pushing forward through resistance with controlled aggression that feels almost unstoppable. And watching a machine survive conditions like this changes your understanding of what trucks like the Silverado are actually built for. Because this is no longer transportation. This is mechanical survival, engineered for hostile environments. Now, shift the tension again. The convoy finally exits the canyon, only to discover the storm has triggered a partial landslide across the mountain route ahead. Rocks covering sections of the road, while visibility drops beneath heavy fog rolling across higher elevation terrain. And suddenly, the mission changes completely, because now every decision becomes slower, sharper, more dangerous. But the Silverado adapts instantly. Braking controlled, steering precise, suspension balanced, even while navigating unstable mountain roads with steep drops waiting only inches away. And this is where control becomes more important than aggression, because too much speed on roads like these can destroy even powerful machines instantly. But the Silverado balances strength with discipline, maintaining composure while weaker drivers begin losing confidence around it. Now imagine sitting inside the cabin during all of this. Thunder echoing across the mountains, while radio communication becomes shorter and more urgent. Mud and rain slamming against the body panels, while the truck continues climbing through darkness without hesitation. And despite the chaos outside, the Silverado creates something rare inside the cabin: confidence. And confidence in dangerous environments changes everything. Because when conditions become unpredictable, people stop believing promises. They start believing results. And the Silverado delivers those results repeatedly throughout the night. But then comes the moment nobody expected. Because just as the convoy approaches the highest section of the mountain route, one of the lead vehicles suddenly loses traction near the edge of a sharp turn, sliding dangerously toward unstable ground, while panic hits the radio instantly. And for a split second, the entire operation feels seconds away from disaster. But the Silverado reacts immediately, accelerating forward through the storm, while recovery equipment deploys under pressure, tires gripping unstable gravel as the truck anchors itself against the terrain with brute force, strong enough to stop the sliding vehicle before it disappears over the edge. And in that moment, the atmosphere changes completely, because this is no longer about power or intimidation anymore. This becomes proof, undeniable proof that machines like the Chevrolet Silverado 1500 2018 are trusted because they can save operations when everything begins collapsing. Now picture dawn finally beginning to break across the horizon, after hours of storms, mud, reroutes, mountain danger, and psychological pressure. The convoy approaching secure territory, while sunlight slowly cuts through the fading clouds. And despite everything the night tried to destroy, the the Silverado remains operational, aggressive, and mechanically untouched by the punishment surrounding it. And that final image explains why trucks like this became icons inside the cartel world. Because real dominance is not luxury, real dominance is not appearance, and real dominance is not loud displays of wealth. Real dominance is remaining functional while everything else around you begins failing. Once you understand that reality, you stop seeing the Chevrolet Silverado 1500 2018 as just another pickup truck. Because what appears aggressive from the outside is actually something much deeper, a machine engineered around endurance, recovery, adaptability, and survival in environments where failure can become permanent.
Because in the end, true power is not measured by how loudly a machine announces itself. True power is measured by what remains standing after the storm finally ends. And if you think this level of raw American dominance represents the peak of the cartel world, then the next chapter of Velvet Horsepower is about to change the atmosphere completely. Because the Mercedes-Maybach S650 2018 enters the series with a different kind of authority, massive luxury, intimidating presence, and the ability to control entire roads without ever needing to prove itself. So if you want to explore more machines built for survival, dominance, authority, and real-world pressure, subscribe to Velvet Horsepower. Because here, we do not just show vehicles, we reveal the hidden psychology behind power itself.